All right. Well, thank you all. Howdy and good evening. I hope you're all doing well. It's great to see everyone's smiling faces and/or videos. So appreciate that. Appreciate you joining us tonight. I do want to thank Derek Dewani, one of our third-year medical students, and Dr. Leslie Singleton, our Houston Student Affairs Dean, for leading the efforts. I know there was many others behind putting this together, and I'm not going to list them all, but grateful for everyone putting this together. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Galindo and all of our pharmacy colleagues for really, I would say, leading the way and paving the way around first generation undergraduate college and coming into professional schools such as the School of Pharmacy as well as the School of Medicine. I am very proud myself to be first generation undergraduate college and to announce that to the world. I tell the story about when I was doing my surgery residency in my medical school at a different institution, that it was frowned upon to mention that you were first generation undergrad college. And I think that's ridiculous in hindsight. And when I came to Texas A&M, and there was programs to advocate and grow the number of first generation college students, then particularly going into professional schools at all levels, I commend those efforts and I am 100% behind it. So I'm so grateful. This is our second year of having the mentors, and I know we've grown the program and we're now up to about 107 first generation student mentees and peer mentors, and we have about 71 faculty and staff members also serving as mentors. So I am so proud of the growth of this program and what we're achieving. As you all know, I love quotes, and I got a good one for you. Hope you haven't heard this one. It's from Christian Larson, and I think it's very applicable across the board, but particularly to first generation undergrad college students. Believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. End of quote. I thought that was really powerful because it kind of sums up what was a first generation college undergrad you're striving for, and then going to a professional school. But no one should ever tell you you can't do something. You just prove them wrong, as I like to say. So I'm grateful to be here, and I look forward to the speakers and everyone's participation. So thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Tarek, and Dr. Leslie Singleton.
Hi everyone. I just want to thank you all for coming today. It's honestly a very exciting day for all of us, being able to kind of meet together as a community and talk about experiences. Just for a few things, we're gonna have two panelists, as we mentioned. We're gonna have Dr. Victor Rodriguez and 1 second, sorry. And Dr. Martinez from the College of Pharmacy or Graduate College of Pharmacy. If you have any questions for them, feel free to write them in the chat or just DM me or Kishore, and we should be able to ask these questions at the end of the sessions. Who I'm also very excited to introduce, Dr. Martinez. She's a 2023 graduate from Texas A&M School of Pharmacy and also a proud first-year student. Let me just say, I'm so excited to have two alumni from our schools talking to us. It just feels so nice to have that connection, to see someone before us who's actually done it and made it all the way. But back to Dr. Martinez, during her time within professional school, she worked so hard to break barriers for herself and help others succeed. And she actually participated in several organizations on campus, and she held even national positions. Behind the scenes, she's actually a mother to two young daughters who've always been her motivation. And now, as a licensed pharmacist, she works in retail pharmacy and is a consultant pharmacist for a freestanding emergency room. She takes it upon herself to mentor prospective pharmacy students to help grow the field and encourage those with similar paths as hers to kind of give back to the community. Dr. Martinez, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Greetings to all of you. Thank you so much for that introduction. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be with you this evening, highlighting just the significance of being a first-generation student. As we all hold this title, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the magnitude of what it means to be here today. Even though some of us share this moment with backgrounds of struggle, it only serves to highlight how much more valuable these experiences and the ones that which will follow tonight are. You've had to work hard to prove yourself and overcome obstacles. And for that, I know that time is valuable, and your presence here tonight with us is so touching. Again, while we all hold this first generation title, like I mentioned, we do have similar stories to tell, but it's also important to remember that no two stories are the same. I have always believed that one of the biggest and most important things that we can do as first generation students is being willing to share our stories. As I was preparing what I was going to be speaking about with you this evening, I knew I wanted to continue to share my story with you, but also help you to build yours. So when I was in high school learning how to write essays, it was often stressed to me how important that first paragraph of an essay was. It was the attention getter, how the reader was going to remain interested. One of my high school teachers taught me to use the 5 W's. It's funny to me that that small piece of information from over 15 years ago would be something I would be speaking with you tonight, but it is a tried and true method and something I hope that is easy for you to remember after we leave tonight. If you haven't heard of the 5 W's, they are who, what, when, where, and why. Having these 5 questions in mind can help you to build your story into something captivating, intriguing, and what I hope is inspiring. So tonight, I'm going to go through each of my 5 W's, and as I'm doing so, I would love it if you start thinking about what yours are too. The best thing about this tool is that they are adaptable. They are a framework that can be molded into questions best suited for you to tell your story. So let me get started. Who? Who are you? This has honestly been one of the hardest questions for me. I hold many hats, and who I need to be in the moment can change from day to day. I am a mother to 2 teenage girls, a pharmacist, a daughter, a big sister, a mentor, a friend, and the list goes on. Who I am makes me unique. It is brought on by my past, and who I am will shape what becomes my life in the future. Raising my daughters has taught me to be nurturing. They've been my motivation to keep going. My parents, siblings, and other family members have been my cheerleaders. They've been the ones to hold me grounded to my roots. My mentors and mentees have been my accountability and lifelines through my journey. My career as a pharmacist was my dream. All of these hats have made me Shelby. I am unique and proud to call myself a first-generation student. As I found myself practicing in the field, I have met with many forks in the road, moments where I've had to contemplate, does this path align with who I am? I want you to think for a moment about your hats, about who you are. Think about how being a first-generation student means that we all have a good chance of having more roles and responsibilities than some of our classmates. Things that may have made our journeys harder to attain. What? What do you want to be? This is probably a little easier for most of us. You are all well on your way to becoming medical professionals. You've taken your education to the highest point, and that is commendable. I knew I wanted to be a pharmacist from a young age. I was always intrigued by the fact that medications could essentially make someone a better version of themselves. Now that I've attained my goal, I have stretched that question to, what kind of professional do I want to be? Again, it's nice that this framework of storytelling is so adaptable. I want to be someone humble, who doesn't forget about the past that I came from. I want to be inspiring to others who want to get to their dreams. And I want to be welcoming to my patients. What kind of medical professional I will become is molded based on my past as a first-generation student. When I got to the end of my pharmacy school journey, I remember trying to decide what kind of field of pharmacy I was going to practice in. Post-grad residencies were often talked about, and I felt that I needed to prove my worthiness as a pharmacist because of my past, because I was a first-generation student. That was a case of imposter syndrome, and I can now tell you that I am a proud community pharmacist. The path of pharmacy that I practice in does not make me any less of a pharmacist than my colleagues in the field practicing in different specialties and areas. My experiences as a first generation student, my background, makes me more relatable to my patients. I understand better their struggles with prescription costs and insurances. I have more empathy, and trust me, they notice. While my time with you tonight isn't to guide you on your career path, I encourage you to use your story for what you can do with your degree in the future. When? When will I get there? When will I share my story? I remember having a countdown to my pharmacy school graduation early into my program. Some days it seemed like May 20th, 2023 would never get here. Trust me when I say the day will get to you and it will feel worth it. The moment I walked into the auditorium on my graduation day, I instantly started having tears in my eyes. I did it. I overcame all of the obstacles that were placed before me, and you will too. After graduation, many of you may go into residencies or some sort of postdoctoral training. You might feel that only at the end of your road is when your story should be told, and it really shouldn't. Your story became important and worth telling the moment that you decided you wanted to change your life for the better and do something that no other generation in your family had ever done before. Let me repeat that. Your story became important the moment that you decided to do something that no one else before you had done. I challenge you to speak your story now. Be the motivation, the support, and the guidance for those around you. Where? Where do you come from? My grandmother never made it past the 2nd grade. She grew up in a family of 9 children in the town of Robstown, Texas. She was pulled out of school to help her family pick cotton. As I grew up, I noticed her illiteracy. I saw her struggle. When my grandpa passed away, that struggle only got worse. She was a type 2 diabetic with no insurance. I watched her cut her insulin doses into quarters, have both of her legs amputated, her arms bruised from dialysis 3 times a week. She is who I did this for, and though she is no longer with us today, I know that she would be proud to have a doctor as a granddaughter, something I know that she could have never imagined as a child growing up on that farm. Think about now where you come from. It's a humbling experience to reflect back, isn't it? Now, think about where you're going. Think about the lives that you'll be changing, not just in practicing medicine, but within your family. I talked about my grandmother and how she probably never would have assumed to have a child or a grandchild with an education. Now let me tell you about my 14-year-old daughter. She's a freshman in high school this year, and last week she received her current class rank. She's number 1 in her class. Ask her what she's going to do after graduation, and she will proudly say that she's going to college. Of course, Texas A&M. Where my future is going has not only changed my life, but it's changed the generations before me. And again, the same will hold true for you. Why? Why is this important? According to an article from Pew Research Center, nationally, only 33% of first-generation students enrolled in college attain a degree. I decided to start my college journey at the age of 26, again, with 2 daughters. I can remember thinking to myself that I couldn't do it at the end of my first week of classes. I was easily the oldest in my class. I had to work 40 hours a week to comfortably live with my family. There was hardly any time to study, let alone sleep. Every day was a struggle. In 2017, I was in the middle of attaining my prerequisites for pharmacy school, and the unthinkable happened. Hurricane Harvey struck the Texas coast. That night, I packed up what I could and evacuated with my kids, and overnight became homeless. At that moment, I was sure that I would never get finished with school. But with perseverance and grace, I did. These stories of success need to be told to help encourage and uplift others to do the same. I wish that at the start of my journey, I had someone there who understood what struggle felt like. Now, how? This is a surprise, and I'm going to do an add-on to my framework just to build a sturdy foundation, because having this mentality of doing what we can as first-generation students to sturdy our foundations, the who we are and what we are doing, and passing that on to other first-generation students is so vital. We've had so much stacked against us already. Last year, I attended a leadership conference in Miami, Florida for first-generation students specifically. Networking was a big key takeaway, so this is my challenge to you. How are you going to tell your story? You can find a mentee, attend a conference. Really, the options to tell your story are endless. And while I won't be able to hold you accountable for this challenge, I have someone in mind who can help you. I want you to think for a moment about someone in your life who has helped you get to where you are today. Maybe it's a mentor, a teacher, a faculty member. I challenge you to reach out to them. Tell them thank you for helping you build your story and get to where you're at. Tell them that you have a framework to start sharing your story with others, and ask them to be your accountability partner in networking and telling your story of how proud you are to be a first-generation student. Remember that being a professional within the medical field is essentially a lifelong learning experience. What you know in medicine today will evolve as time goes on. The same will hold true for your story. The questions for your framework will change. You'll notice that the further along you get in practice, it'll seem like your story holds more weight. And if I ask anything of you in my closing, it would be that you are always brave enough to tell your story. You never know who's watching and listening to yours and who you might inspire. Thank you.